I'm about to take you on a little trip. Now, I want to put a disclaimer out. The person who's the mystery caller who contacted Unetti's office of Karen Reed's attorney, telling him specifics of who he believed killed John O'Keefe. And then he was confronted with a request for an affidavit. He said no. He lawyered up. Allegedly, he used a fake name. His name was Stephen Scanlon. Now, if this is the same Stephen Scanlon, now, of course, there are, multiple people with the same name, but it's a very interesting coincidence. If this is not the same Stephen Scanlon, this is Stephen Scanlon from Boston, Massachusetts, and he has an investigation firm. That's his job. And he's got friends, he's got connections to Julie Nagel. Somebody, I don't know if it's the same Julie Nagel, Nagel. He's got friends in the FBI. And he's got, friends with family of Higgins. I don't know if that's, anywhere related to the ATF Higgins. And he also has connection directly to Michael Morrisey of the Norfolk County DA's office. Now, granted, when, you have social circles of people that are friends of friends, they all know each other, that doesn't mean there is a direct connection. I want to put that out there. I'm not saying there is. I'm just finding his circle. Okay? So, I'm going to show you that and let's just go with this picture, just right here. So, you're going to see Tracy Higgins. I'm going to show you, which is connected to Brendan Higgins, which is connected to Michael Morrisey. Okay, so here's Tracy Higgins. Okay, go to her friends. Click on Brandon Higgins. He's a boxer. Now, this guy, Cannon, is in boxing clubs, and he goes to fights, so he would know all these people personally. So it's very possible he may have heard something, and he's just, if you can't prove something. So this is Brandon Higgins. I'll go to him, and then you find all the people that he's connected to. Let's type Morrisey in here. Morrisey. Now, Julie Morrisey. And she is the one connected to Michael Morrisey. Now, on here. Now again, this doesn't mean anything. She doesn't show her friends, but we go to, one second. Let's check on this. There's an Ellen Morrisey, and you click on Ellen Morrisey's, and she's the one. I mean, you probably click on any of the Morriseys, and they're all going to be connected to Michael Morrisey, the big Morrisey clan. Let's see, I'm going to find it. One of her pictures. I thought it was this one. It's Ellen Morrisey. I will find it. Hang on. Okay, here's Stephen Morrisey. This is from and look who he's related to. There it is. Michael Morrisey works at North District Attorney's Office. Okay. Also friends with Higgins. Not, ATF Higgins, but could be, family members of his. Further looking into. And interesting, Michael Morrisey and I have 4 mutual friends. That doesn't mean anything because I'm military, so. Plus, I went to law school, so I have a lot of friends, and they're in law careers from across the country, so it doesn't mean anything. But I just find it interesting whenever I find mutual friends with random people. Anyways, so, yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, even more mutual friends. What? I do have a lot of friends on the East Coast, too. Friends of friends. But no, I guarantee you all these people are military. Or law connected. Oh my gosh, this is so wild. I'm looking for specific things and I keep finding mutual friends. It's so small world, guys. Stand Against Racism, National Asian Women's Association of Massachusetts. I wonder how they stop Asian hate. I wonder how they feel about the text messages that came out in trial of these cops calling their neighbor the Asian house. It was like so tacky. Golly. I'm actually surprised he even allows public comments on his page. And just for the record, just because somebody likes somebody's post doesn't mean they're personally connected to them. Like, anybody can like somebody's post. I've got people from around the world like my post. Doesn't mean anything. But when you have local people there, and they, they don't have their friend list visible, which is the best way to go, it could mean a connection. But, it's just interesting. That's all I'm saying about this Stephen Canlon guy. That he just leads a trail directly to Morrisey's office. But, again, anything to do with law enforcement, investigation, it's a small circle, really. And this Stephen Canlon guy, am I saying it right? When you have direct, friends of friends, I'm just saying the possibility of Stephen Canlon having had that specific information so that he would reach out to an attorney and actually have accuracy without having spoke to somebody, heard something. You can't just go out and make accusations like that. You can be sued for defamation. And, if he's been an investigative, he's an intelligent person. He's obviously educated. You have to know that if you make accusations like that, and they were bold-faced accusations. Now, of course, what he's saying is Yanetti's, excuse me, I don't know if I'm saying that right either, version is different than his. I'm just curious, and I don't think that it's going to be discussed at this time. There's a lot of things with the FBI investigation that there's protective order. There's a lot of things that can't be discussed right now. But I would hope that Yannetti would have recorded the conversation when he did call that guy. Okay, well, based on this, Massachusetts, he could not have legally recorded that man without him knowing. So I do not believe he did record him because the guy was, he was very reluctant. Of course, he's got the voicemail. He does have some voicemail that it was a tipster, and I don't know how much details was in the voicemail. So he at least has that. But to call him and have a detailed conversation, according to this, you would have to. Massachusetts is an all-party consent state. So all these in the light blue, you can record somebody, their phone conversation, as long as you are part of that conversation, and you do not have to reveal it to them that they are being recorded. So, California, Florida, Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C., Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, Montana, Washington, those states you cannot. They have to be all party. And mixed consent states are the striped states. But at any rate, and that's as of 2022. So, he probably did not get it recorded, but he at least has the voicemail. So if he didn't give a lot of detail other than just vague stuff in the voicemail, if it said that he knew, if it says in the voicemail that he knows who killed him or he suspects, there's two different things. So if he said in the voicemail, because the voicemail's not been played, so it's probably part of, material that the FBI is putting under wraps. I don't know, but I have not seen or heard anywhere where Yannetti has put out there the recording. But he left a recording, a voicemail, and that's when he decided to call back that tipster. And so if the recording from this man says, I know, it says, according to the article, it says that she's innocent. You know, like he's speaking matter-of-factly. And so if that recording, though, says that he knows who did it, or he knows she's innocent, then that's somebody speaking with knowledge. And that would mean that if he's telling anyone, like the feds, that in fact that he does not have any inside information, then he lied. And he's a liar. Because why would you call a case lawyer and claim to have knowledge and then later redact that? I mean, but at any rate, I think at some point in time that voice recording, I'm sure it's saved, is going to become public. Not going to be good for his business if this is in fact the guy, you know, that is an investigator. So this confirms that it was in fact a private investigator. So this is a Yahoo article. This says 25 investigates. Prosecutors say taillight DNA evidence. And then here it talks, and this is February 2020. The filing talks about a private investigator named Stephen Scanlon. So yeah, that's him. Unless there just happens to be another Stephen Scanlon who also is a private investigator. I mean, it could happen. I don't have any pictures of him, but yeah. So he's got connections with, again, you know, some of them were actual friends of friends. Some of them were just people liking on his stuff, or just connections to Julie Nagel, Morrisey, FBI, and a whole bunch of cops, of course, and boxer clubs, yeah. So I think that if this man did in fact call and say that I know who did it, she's innocent, that's inside information. So that means he knows something based on his inner circle, and he is obstructing justice. And I hope and pray that they bring in, if there's, now when I said, you know, connections to the FBI, that just means it could be friends of friends, but there was just somebody from another state. It was not from Massachusetts. So that, you know, so what, you know, law enforcement are all interconnected, different agencies. Doesn't mean anything. But yeah, there's definitely a circle there that he very well could have heard something, and he's just not giving up what he knows, unless he wanted to say that publicly, but maybe privately he is working with the feds. Who knows? But he cannot go in a court of law and say, I had no idea, if he left a voice message saying that he knows. I think that's problematic. How I hit him became I was framed. It was him. It was this guy. This is what led to the third-party defense theory. Okay. Now I want to talk about the accusation by the DA's office, not just against Karen Reed. I called it a few days ago. I said they're going to go after her they've already charged Turtle Boy, this guy, for harassment, and they have connected her. They have publicly in the media accused Karen Reed of conspiracy, the word conspiracy, to harass witnesses. That is an accusation of a crime that he is in fact being prosecuted for. But he specifically said that it wasn't just Karen Reed, but also her attorneys. So depending on how things go, he may be going after those lawyers as well. Or he just might be flexing. He just might be trying to intimidate him. I don't know, but the DA's office has openly, publicly accused Karen Reed and her attorneys of criminal acts, because conspiracy to harass witnesses, of which Turtle Boy is in fact being prosecuted for, is a crime. And I'm like, okay, why is Yannetti not suing him for accusing him of criminal acts, defaming him in the public? Why is he even aware of it? Is he even aware that he's not just accused his client, but also them? He didn't say, okay, this attorney, she's got three lawyers, so, well, unless the one's working for Alan Jackson's firm, but not just one of them. He said them, according to the media article. They say that Turtle Boy was accused of working with an I don't know how you say that word, Avon, whatever, police department dispatcher, and illegally accessed motor vehicle data. That's it's not just that he had a picture of their, but he's like, how, he's saying that the connection was made illegally. Anyways, now I'm just curious how he thinks that he's going to prove that they did that. That's going to be interesting. Here is what the DA's office is. This is why they're trying to get the harassment entered into evidence, because they're going to villainize her with these accusations and say to say that she's not only somebody that mowed him down, but she also made victims of her family and the witnesses as well by conspiring to criminally harass them. Okay, that's why they're trying to enter in the harassment. So according to the affidavit that was unsealed in January, and I've called this days ago that they're going to be doing this. He had 189 phone calls totaling in excess of 48 hours in 2023. Kearney and Reed had that many phone calls, which doesn't mean anything. Were they listening on the phone calls? Did they have any text messages between them that they have copies of? And what led them to having the right to even get that information, their phone calls? But they have their phone records, and charged with intercepting wire or oral communication. And that might go to something if he recorded I don't even know. I have no idea what they mean by this. Of course, he's pled guilty to none of it. I think they're just harassing him because he's exposing stuff, but I don't have all the facts on that. But in Massachusetts, you cannot record anybody unless all parties they know. Because it's like intercepting wire or oral communication. Generally, that falls under recording laws, and I showed you that Massachusetts is an all-party state. You cannot record anybody without them knowing. At least not on the phone. And New York Post is so disgusting. They're accusing Karen Reed of snapping at her lawyers. She was disgusted with what they did. She ain't mad at her lawyers. They just make stuff up. New York Post is disgusting. I'll never read anything. I'll just happen to click on the link because it was after something I was after. Just curious to what they're saying. New York Post. They're just gross. Yuck. They gotta make something up if they can't find something. This is from 2023. Norfolk DA taking heat. He's mad at this guy who's claiming Brian Barrier, talking about he didn't do anything wrong. Well, my complaint is about he's talking about evidence versus conspiracy theories, and I have a big problem with his statement on that, because I do believe the DAs and the prosecutor and the police should all be prosecuted, because when you suppress evidence of crimes, it is in fact a crime, and there's federal statutes that also govern when law enforcement are suppressing evidence of crimes. So here's my position on the fact, the law, analyzing the fact to the law, and my conclusion. And that is, the issue is a video that shows clearly, several hours after she dropped him off, her taillight was clearly intact. Then you have a later video showing there's no pieces, and it's just, and then that is evidence of a crime that, one, witnesses who testified told police that she said that, or they saw that she had a taillight missing. Not that it was cracked, that the taillight was missing. You have footprints at the taillight at 6:30 a.m.-ish, and that video footage is missing. So when you have a video that's irrefutable evidence that shows clearly, that's not a discovery, that's not exculpatory evidence, that's not like, well, you can present your side to the jury. No, that is an actual crime. When you suppress evidence of crimes, when somebody tells a police officer that they saw that this woman did not have a taillight, and that she claimed to have broke her taillight, and so that's why they concluded her taillight was missing, that is in fact a bold-faced lie. The video evidence shows that they committed a crime of lying to a police officer during an investigation of a homicide, and that's a crime. They should be prosecuting those who reported to the police that her taillight was missing. Nobody knows at this point who actually broke her taillight, but the evidence shows. And for him to ignore that evidence that shows that her tail light was intact and then push the same lie that the witnesses are claiming that her tail light was missing is enjoining the criminal act of lying. Now you're not only suborning perjury, you have gone before a court, you have used criminal act of lying and saying that her tail light was missing, and he needs prosecuted. I don't think he was just violating rules of professional conduct. I believe he committed crimes. That's my understanding of the law. That's what I believe, that the feds can go after him. And when the time he came aware of the video that she has that clearly shows that her tail light was intact, and then continuing to push, once an attorney becomes aware that somebody is lying, he has a duty under professional conduct to, not go along with it. But when you start enjoining the conspiracy to push a lie that you know by evidence that's irrefutable, that is criminal behavior, in my opinion. And I will continue to say that. And if he wants to act like I'm in any way doing something wrong for saying that, or advocating that they need mandatory prosecution laws, advocating that they don't just need to dismiss this case, they need to criminally prosecute every person who has pushed it, every person who lied on the stand and said that they saw her tail light was missing, they need to prosecute them because they lied. They straight up lied, and they need prosecuted. And it's sad because there's a lot of people are like, there's no way this many people would be involved in an accusation. Yes, it is very possible that a big group of people are conspiring together. Yes, it is. It happens all the time. Read history, okay? It happens all the time. And so I want prosecution of the DA because he has a copy of the evidence that shows clearly that tail light was intact. And he keeps pushing the lie in a court of record saying that the tail light was broken at such and such time. And that her tail light crashed and hit him, which does not match. I think the Fed should be prosecuting him for criminal conspiracy to suborning perjury, to criminal conspiracy to suppression of evidence of a crime, and that is false reporting to the police, criminal conspiracy to plant false evidence. I don't just want the police prosecuted. I want every prosecutor that's involved in this, and possibly the judge as well. Because the judge, if she's I know the judge is there to weigh evidence, but if she sees clearly, here's my problem with the judge. Those people that got on the stand about the dog bite and said that the only time that dog had ever attacked somebody was another dog, omitted that the person was injured during that dog fight, then when they bring evidence that this person's committing perjury because of, 4 other people claim to have been bitten, to have impeached that woman, that should have been allowed. But here's my issue with her. I think it's suspicious, at the least, because they would not have got on that stand and lied and said that there's only one person that had, been harmed, or one dog fight, that the dog wasn't vicious. It was just one time. When there's other people, if those people have evidence that they were in fact harmed by that dog, if there's police reports, if there's hospital records, if there's any evidence that they have to prove in fact their dog attacked there's 4 people allegedly, according to the Reed's investigation team. And so I think that the fact that it appears they were promised that the judge will not allow in any evidence. And so they were quite comfortable getting on the stand and lying about that if the evidence can prove, in fact, they were lying. So it's very, very problematic, the things that this judge is doing. But definitely this DA, along with the police and every person who lied, claiming that tail light was broken at the time they claimed they saw it broken, needs prosecuted, every bit of them. And this Stephen Scanlon guy, I have a big problem with him. If he knows something, he needs to own it and not sit by and let a woman be railroaded and let these people do the evil that they're doing. And anyways, I would never hire him because he claimed if he left a voicemail and said that he knows that she's innocent and he's acting like he was just going on speculation. I'm sorry, he's full of it. But that's my piece on this. That's my spill of the deal.